So I rarely use body modification on any of my pictures for my clients. I do use it for hair, for clothes, for just fixing lines that are off for me. And so today I'm using images of myself just to show you what you could do if you needed to modify the body or hair or whatever is needed. So let's jump right in. So to find the Liquify tool, you're going to go to Filter, Liquify. Also, like I said in my last video, it's really important to learn the hotkeys for everything that you're going to be using. It's going to make you so much faster as an editor. But if you're coming into here, Filter, Liquify. So I'm bringing this image. I think I'm just going to show you how to lift the hair, so like have more volume. My friend Candace took this image of me and I super love it. So it's this image already has been edited, and that's why it's a little bit pixelated because it's not in its raw format. But you would start in the upper left hand corner and grab your push tool, your forward warp tool. W is the hotkey here, it looks like. Okay, so then you grab that tool. I rarely use all the tools in Liquify. I just use this one a lot, and there's another one that helps. If, for instance, you do something you don't like, you just come in here, the second one down, and put it back to how it was. Like, okay, we're just going to reset that. This one is called Reconstruct Tool, and it's R as the hotkey. So then I'm going to hit W, go back to my warp tool, and we're just going to lift the hair. And sometimes it is, like when you have a high hairline, it can be really nice to bring the hairline down. And I'll show you some other ways you can edit facial features and Liquify really easily. For instance, I have one of my eyes, my right eye is a little bit smaller than my left eye. So in some images, like it'll look like one eye is squinting a little bit. And I totally love myself. Like I have no issue with this. But if I wanted to change it, there's an easy way to do that to where my eyes are the same size in the image. I don't mind playing with my own images because to me it's like my art. I'm creating an art piece, so I'm not worried about it looking exactly like me. I'm only excited to make it look like perfect. And I know there are some moral issues with tricking the human eye into thinking that someone's more beautiful than they are. But I'm not here to talk about all that. You just choose to do what feels best for you, for your art, for your photography, you know. So here we're just lifting the hair out gently. You can make your brush really big to get more space. One thing you don't want to do is bend your image so much that it looks distorted. You really want to be careful with how much you're moving your image around, because if you stretch the pixels too much too, they start to look off and you can notice it. And if, say, the leaf is bent, like say I'm lifting the hair right here, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's looking good, that hair is voluminous. But then look at the plant above it. This is just for instance, this looks horrible, but look at the plant above it. Now the plant is no longer in its normal state, and people will be able to tell that it's photoshopped. And when you're lying, you always want it to be closest to the truth, and I feel like that's relevant for liquefying and editing the face. Like you don't want it to be so much fake that like people know it's fake. The point is for it to just be a little bit perfect, but not all the way perfect because that's too obvious. So here is on the right side is a slider that can adjust the eye size. So obviously we have like a huge eye, so now it looks like a little alien, and then a teeny bitty eye. And with that you can also tilt the eye, which comes in handy. I actually use this one for myself a little bit because sometimes my eyes just in certain like angles looks like kind of funny, so you can kind of tilt the eye if it's needed. This is the width, this is the height. It's really, really fun to play with if you ever just have a bunch of time on your hands. Definitely come in here, and you can make your nose longer, shorter. You can make it wider or thinner. And again, like you don't want to be like, oh, I know you're insecure, so I'm going to go in and fix everything about you and make you look fake. You do want people to love and respect themselves, so you don't want to distort people. That's why I don't use it on people. But if you just want to make small adjustments to where it's like, this is going to make this picture either a little bit better or make it a little more professional, like, then use your discretion and have fun. And then you can reset all of it right here. Now you can see we lifted the hair a little bit. It's not necessarily like even better with bigger hair, but if you have like long flowing hair, this is amazing. It makes you look like you have such voluminous hair. Okay, now let's go into the next one. So this one is going to be a body modification, and just for clarification, I love my body. I love the way it looks. I love the size that I am. I have so much self-love, and that's how I'm able to do this, because I don't need to change myself, but I don't care if you see how my body looks or how I change it for this example. So here I am looking beautiful and voluptuous, but if I wanted to, if a client wanted you to, or if you wanted to do a magazine image or anything that required you to like thin the body down, probably quit that job. But also if you needed to do it, this is how you do it. So we need to be cautious of everything that's around me. We have leaves and sticks and twigs, and so if I was like to move it in, you'd see this twig would be like just veering and it would go whoop, and it doesn't look right. So one thing you want to be cautious of is everything surrounding the thing you're about to liquefy. So say I want to make my arms look thinner, I'm just going to move in the direction of the twig as I'm pushing up so that it all lines up evenly with nature. I think that's the biggest thing. It's not necessarily about what you're editing, it's like what's around what you're editing and how it will be affected by this. So for instance, I was a client and I was like, please like make me look super skinny, make it look like I lost 100 pounds or something. Like this is how you would do it. Love my freaking big shoulders, so I would not actually want anyone to change this. Make my neck look all skinny, whatever. Okay, here on the left, see how when we pulled that, the flower got distorted. So you do want to be super careful with how much you're pulling. And if you're going to pull a lot, then you kind of want to bring a lot of the outside image with you. You're just bringing the whole flower with you so that doesn't look distorted. And you want to bring it in. You want to follow the natural curve of the human body to make it look the most realistic. You don't want to be going out Wild West out here being crazy, or also look like an alien. And that might be what you're looking for, but right now we're looking for as real as possible, realistic as possible, not real. Make the arms look skinnier. Thick. Maybe we want the waist to look super small. It's okay, we can keep the booty a little bit, because that looks nice. So this thigh down here, we're just going to like gently go from left to right to kind of be as natural as possible. That is looking pretty good. I'll bring this thigh in a little bit. And there you go. That looks pretty nice. The butt might be too big still, let's be honest. If you were that skinny on top, you'd probably not be this as big on bottom. So let's make it. And then maybe bring this is how people get images looking like so crazy, like the biggest booty and the smallest waist and the perfect face and no flaws. Flawless is just a trick. If you're flawless, it's probably not real, right? So don't let social media distort your views of yourself, you know? So here's how I really look, and here's how it looks when it's edited. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Now we can go into, let's see. These other tools over here are some fun ones. This one makes it like a twister. Whoa, which I think is really helpful when it comes to clouds and skies, fixing skies. I find this one's really like good at bringing in some real motion and like helps bring in like a lot of realism to new clouds that you've like copied and pasted or clone stamped them, and then you can swirl them so it looks like a different part of the clouds. It comes in pretty handy. And these ones are like the pinch tools, like this one will zoom things in. Woo! Crazy. And then the other one will zoom things out. This zoom out one, also good for the clouds, also good for making booty look bigger or breasts look bigger. If you ever needed that for any reason, I don't see why you would necessarily, but I'm not here to judge, I'm just here to teach. What does this one do? Push left tool. I don't know specifically what this guy is doing, but it does this, so there you go. Super helpful. Oh, okay, this tool is great right here. Say I wanted to not affect the lower half of the body. Say I just wanted to affect the upper half of the body, and I didn't want the lower half to even move at all, no matter what. I was like, don't touch this part of the body. So I put the red, and this is like a little protection mask. Then I would go and do my editing. Whee! Just looking good. Then I would just erase the mask, and you can see nothing has been distorted underneath the mask. Super handy. Okay, and then what does this? The face tool. Yeah, I've never used the face tool, so let's go try it. Oops. No. Face tool. So let's go back into filter, liquify, and the hotkey here is Shift Command X to open Liquify. Perfect. And so here we have the face liquify tool. I haven't used this. I think this is a newer feature. So essentially what it's giving me here, I believe, is the same thing as what it's giving me here, but you have a little more control on the angle. Okay, yeah, it's definitely the tools over here, just in a different way. So how big and skinny you want the face? I feel like I have a beautifully long chin. Sometimes like that would be something I would probably modify. Or if I have like my forehead's looking really big in a photo, I don't think it's like abnormally large. But if I wanted my hair to look like thicker and more juicy and like flowy, and then my hairline to be a little bit lower, I'd probably play with that. If I was making like one of my images that's like an art piece that I want to look like Vogue magazine and have perfection, I would do that. Don't do that to all my images, just some of them. And again, it's like, for me, it's like art. It's like for fun, you know? It's not because I hate myself or I need to change. I love myself a lot, so. Use your tools for good and not for evil. That's my advice for you. Okay, so that's just a little lowdown on the Liquify brush tool, or on the Liquify tool. Another tip, which can be super valuable, I just learned it recently, is to turn your image into a smart object before you go into filter and liquify. When you do that and you make an adjustment in the liquify, now it's a separate layer, so you can turn it on and off, or you can still keep adjusting it. If you just go straight into liquify without making it a smart object, then it will be a permanent edit on there. So you can turn it on and off here, and you can also double click down here as well to go and play some more. So there's a Liquify tool for you, just like a quick lowdown. I hope that was helpful for you, and be sure to subscribe and like for more videos like this and Lightroom as well.